you want to clear your energy and release part of the parts of your day that were stressful, and you want to take time to acknowledge the beauty of and gratitude of things that happened in your day as well. And if you just go to sleep, you're taking yesterday with you and you're waking up with yesterday's energy. And it's like taking a sonic shower when you listen to music in the evening. You can cleanse yourself of the things that don't serve you in your day and acknowledge the beautiful things that did serve you. And that's where you recharge every day. You wake up and you have energy to create. For me, that is essential. I love creating, and creating something from nothing.
2-1-0.
Hello and welcome to Stellar Life Podcast. What do Les Paul, Shirley MacLaine, Dr. Daniel Amen, and Dr. Joe Dispenza have in common? Music produced or composed by Barry Goldstein. My guest today is incredible. He is a good friend and also an incredible artist. He creates music that helps you heal, and he's got a whole perspective about how music can really influence your life. And in this episode, we're going to learn about how music can affect your life, why you need to create your own life's playlist. You will hear a live demonstration of his music. And if you watch it on YouTube, you can actually see him play. And then you can see me cry because I was so moved by his music. It was just wonderful, wonderful conversation, and a wonderful, wonderful interview. Barry Goldstein's Grammy Award winning productions and innovative product development have charted on billboards, been featured in film, TV, and number one PBS specials. His book, The Secret Language of the Heart, provides groundbreaking research, experimental processes, and musical programs for transforming your life. I hope you will enjoy this episode as much as I did. It was amazing for me to have this conversation with Barry, and I think it's going to be just as amazing for you. And now, without further ado, on to the show. Hi, Barry. Welcome to Stellar Life Podcast. Thank you so much for being here.
Orion, glad to be here with you. Looking forward to our conversation today.
Me too. We met recently in Arizona at the Genius Network event, and it was so lovely to see you in person and get to know you. And
Same here.
I just have to comment about how you have such a warm, genuine personality, and I really like that. Um,
Well, I appreciate that. I'm glad that we got a chance to kind of meet in person. I'm kind of zoomed out a little bit, so it's nice to see people in person and meet them and feel their energy in a room again.
yeah, definitely. Um, Before we dive in, I want you to share a little bit about your passion and how did you discover it?
Sure. Well, as you can see, my passion, part of my passion is music, sound, and vibration. And, I've been doing it for a long time, a very long time. But my fascination started with it very young. And I can even remember my mom taking my hands over the piano and playing the keys. And my fascination of hearing the sounds in the room sustaining, the notes on the piano. And I remember being fascinated by that. And it's interesting that, if you fast forward many, many years later, part of the signature part of my sound is how the notes kind of hang and the space between the notes, what happens between those notes,
Oh,
where a lot of the time is where the healing and the transformation occurs because it gives people a chance to integrate and kind of move into the music as opposed to just listening with their ears. We listen in a multi-dimensional way. But for me, music wasn't always like that. I was a pop producer for many years in New York City, type A personality. I was a club kid and produced a lot of house music and a lot of hip hop music. And I got burnt out on the music business and having to deliver, a song or two every week and spending 50 to 100 hours of studio time to create a 4-minute song. And I was beginning to get anxiety and sleeping challenges, and I knew I really wanted to move back to my heart and that fascination that we have when we're children, and I wanted to gain access to that.
Mm.
So I kind of asked myself a question, and that big question was, what would happen if I just let the music come through me and I didn't know the notes I was composing, nothing was written down, and just allow myself to take these hour-long journeys. And was targeting my heart at a relaxed state, which is about 60 beats per minute. And I set my metronome for that, hoping that the metronome of my computer would synchronize and help synchronize my heart to that state where I was relaxed. And I started to take these journeys and move into deep states of trance while I was composing. And, I didn't think anyone would listen to these pieces of music because they were really the opposite of what I had composed for all those years. Not a lot of melody, they were hour-long pieces. But I started to give them to some of my friends who were massage therapists or friends who were going to the dentist's office, and another friend whose mom had Alzheimer's and dementia, and he was using it to help her sleep. And before you knew it, we were starting to get testimonials and endorsements from this music, which I named ambiology, which at the time that when I looked it up, the word didn't exist, and it was inspired to me because AM stands for ambience, and that's a place of beauty or serenity. And
Mm.
biology is the effect that that has on our physical bodies. So I set out ambiology into the world, and we just began to get a lot of testimonials and endorsements, and that led to a curiosity of why it was working, what were the mechanisms behind it, which led to me writing a book called The Secret Language of the Heart that is all about that. And that's kind of it in a nutshell. I've had the blessing of working with some amazing people in the transformational field, and I had the blessing of working
Why don't you drop
with
some
Les Paul.
names? Because people need to know.
Sure. So Joe Dispenza, I've worked with him in creating music for some of his meditations. Dr. Daniel Amen,
Mm.
Shirley MacLaine, Anita Morjani, Neil Donald Walsh, and Les Paul, the guy who invented the electric guitar. I co-produced a Grammy Award-winning track with him, which was
Wow.
one for best rock instrumental in 2005.
Wow.
So
That's so impressive. When you compose, do you feel like you are downloading something from a different realm? Like where you're not in the way and just the music come through you?
yeah, I think for me it's a combination. Some people move to those states where they don't remember or they don't feel themselves in the room. For me, I call them divine collaborations because I'm consciously inviting God in when I am composing. So some people call it God, the universe, unlimited consciousness, whatever you wanted to call it. I call it God. And I think of it as kind of inviting in that unlimited field to co-create with me. And I do remember it, and I also am conscious of what I'm playing, but sometimes I also feel like I'm being guided.
Right.
So it's really a combination of both.
And what's your favorite tools to play with as far as uh, maybe binaural beats or similar things to that.
Yeah, I usually start with a sound, and it's very similar to an artist when they're painting. You just kind of find a color that you like and you start stroking, you know, away with it. And it's the same thing with music. I have a vast library of sounds, and I've also created many thousands of sounds over the many years that I've composed. So for me, when I hear a sound that inspires me, that usually starts a composition or a flow. And sometimes I start with an intention as well before the session actually starts. And sometimes I feel the intention coming in as I'm composing. So, but it usually starts with a sound. That's kind of like my paint on the palette.
That's beautiful. And so with your friend and his mom with the Alzheimer's and the people that were listening to your tracks, what are how did it influence them? What are some of the responses that you get?
Yeah, well, that actually the music for that was created beforehand. So I didn't create it specifically for that. And when I was working on the ambiology series, they had a basic intention that I started with, which was that it served the highest capacity for healing that for each individual that listens to it. And then, as said, we started getting testimonials from people, and they began to move into different departments, so to speak. Like
Mm-hmm.
Genesis, which was ambiology number 6. Across the board, people said, "I love that one for sleep,"
Mm.
and that became one that we started to recommend for sleeping challenges.
Mm-hmm.
Ambiology number 5, which is called Eden, we got a lot of people letting us know that they were using it for creating more harmony in the brain. So
Mm.
for children who have ADHD or autistic people on the spectrum, they seem to gravitate towards that one. And so that
Nice.
was the one I recommended for my friend because his mom had dementia, and it worked really well for her in masking the sounds of the busy streets in New York at night, which were keeping her awake. And initially, she was skeptical. She was like, I don't need any music. And then she started to use it, and when she found success with it, and she found that her anxiety was diminishing, she began to ask her son Phil for her music every night. She would say, "Phil, please put on my music." So
Oh,
it was a lot of comfort for for her, but also as a caretaker, who's
yeah.
taking care of someone with those challenges. It could be, it can they can use some relaxation as well. So they were both very thankful.
Beautiful. Do you ever have like somebody measure the effects of your music? Or you just get,
Yeah,
oh yeah? Okay.
yeah. Actually, in Dr. Joe Dispenza workshops, when I was playing live at events, and they would actually brain scan people who were in the meditations, and they found that they could move into more peaceful states, and move from beta to alpha and theta, sometimes in just uh, you know 20 to 30 or 40 seconds. They could
Wow.
already begin to see shifts in the brainwave states when they listen to the music. So we know that it's moving people to what's called the parasympathetic state, which is a more
Mm-hmm.
coherent state where your heart can literally synchronize to the music to create more orderly rhythms.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that part of the technology that I use in most of my music is heart entrainment,
Mm.
where our internal heart has the ability to adapt to the tempo of the music.
Wow.
And it's really easy to shift our state and our moods utilizing music for relaxation and stress reduction.
Hmm.
Sometimes you can move to that state during your day in a minute or two. So it doesn't take a lot. It's more about the awareness of when to utilize it.
Yeah. Why do you think our bodies respond to vibrations in this way? To sound
Well,
vibrations?
our bodies are vibrations. So they're not
Okay.
necessarily responding to them. They are responding to them, but I say
Aligning with it?
another word, yeah, they're resonating with it
Yeah.
because when something resonates, it's actually amplifying a vibration. So just like when if you hit a tuning fork at E in the same room as a piano, that tuning fork will make the string on the piano vibrate from across the room without even touching the
Really?
piano.
Wow.
Yes. So it's really the same thing. If you think of ourselves as the piano, and there are vibrations and frequencies within our body. And then when we listen to music, I'm sure you've had this experience where you're listening to a piece of music and you say, wow, that really resonates with me. Like I can
Yeah.
not just hear that, I can feel that in my body. Like you get God bumps or you feel a certain part of your body vibrating. And it's the same effect is because it's resonating. We're made of frequency. So we're constantly responding to frequency.
Right.
You're responding to my voice now. I'm responding to your voice. And our voices are different frequencies. And we make judgments and we make calls constantly in the day, whether we resonate with a person based on the words they're saying, their tones in their voice, the way they say it, the emotion behind it, of whether or not we resonate with a person or we find them dissonant, where we're like, I don't know, something about that person I wasn't quite trusting.
Hmm. Right.
Why is that? Something in the voice or the way they said something or their body language. So
Hmm.
we're made up of sound and energy.
Yeah. Before we keep going into asking you more questions and learning more from you, I want everybody to experience your incredible music, and I think it's just gonna put everybody that is listening into a state of bliss. So, can you please play something for us?
Sure, it might take me a second here to transition, but yeah, let's all close our eyes and place our hands in our heart and just kind of slow our breathing rate down and give yourself a moment or two in silence to just connect with your own vibration of your heart and slowly just begin to breathe in through your heart and exhale with a big sigh out as you exhale. And then when the music comes on, just allow yourself to receive it.
Wow. That was beautiful. And I'm trying
Thank you.
to. It just brought me, myself, my experience was, like just going from here to really, really being. And it was very beautiful. It was very healing. Wow, I'm getting
Awesome.
emotional. Thank you so much. This was beautiful.
You're welcome. I think that our heart is always there, kind of waiting for us. And sometimes it's about giving ourselves permission to receive music and listen to it in a different way because we're so used to listening to it as art and entertainment. But when we actually let ourselves just receive it, it can be very healing. And a lot of times, what you're experiencing, it allows you to sometimes acknowledge energy or release energy that we're holding that we don't even know is there.
Yeah. Yeah, like for me it was quite a tough day. And and I came to this interview and I'm just like, okay, be on, Orion, let's do it. And you just gave me permission to just be. And it was
Oh,
just
good.
a very beautiful, very beautiful
Well,
experience.
that part of you is already there, like as we were talking about that resonance. So that beauty is already there in yourself, and the music was just kind of found its way towards showing you that.
Yeah. So you're probably like, did you heal some of your own past traumas or pains through music?
Yeah, I mean, I use music every day in that respect. I'm constantly using music to move energy in some way. Whether it's to open it up and be more present, or to move energy because something happened in my day that was challenging, and based on what's going on, I kind of say, oh wow, I really need to do something with big drums in it, and I need to move some energy and feel some bass, and there are other times where I'll play something really soft like we just did, at the end of the day or the beginning of the day to kind of start things out. But if I ask myself the question, and this is something I I invite the listeners to do as well, is asking yourself the question, where am I now emotionally?
Mm,
Where do I want to go
mm,
emotionally? And then what piece of music will take me there? And most of us have playlists and playlists of music and a lot of music in our library, but we don't usually use it in that way as a bridge. And that is really how music nourishes us and heals us, is when we begin to navigate the energy of our day utilizing music and sound and vibration. So we're headed where we want to go, because so many of us have these amazing gifts that we're here to share. But something happens in your day, and all of a sudden, it snowballs, and it
Mm.
becomes one of those days, right? Where it just, you say, wow, I know I started my day off great, but how did it get to move to this?
Right.
And if we can just kind of bring in an awareness during our day when it starts to kind of move out of our intentions, and again, then ask ourselves that question: what piece of music can I utilize this to get me back on track?
Mm.
And it doesn't always have to be like relaxing music. It could be something fun, like your happy song, the song that makes you happy. Mine, for instance, is "The Love You Saved" by the Jackson 5. Right. So when I listen to that song, it's hard for me to be in a bad mood, and it kind of re-energizes me, helps me get my focus back and say, okay, let me kind of get back into my own energy here.
Mm.
Because most of the time we're picking up on other people's energy,
Yeah.
and it's kind of either draining our energy or we're giving it away
Right.
to them. So when we utilize music to kind of take back our energy, like that
Wow.
song has been one of my favorite songs for like since I was a kid.
Yeah.
So it's part of my vibration, that I have when I listen to it.
Right. I did everything Tony Robbins. I did all his workshops and some of them a few times. And he definitely uses that kind of anchoring through music. Because there are certain songs that I can hear, and it was in these seminars, and he gets you in an emotional state, and then it's linked to a certain song. So every time I hear, um, "Ooh, Barracuda," dun, 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 it's always really energizing me. And I heard that in his seminars, or some of the songs are so like, oh, maybe I should listen to this to this playlist, because it is anchored in really powerful experiences.
Yeah, and they're not random. I mean, they understand, like Tony Robbins understands. T. Harv Eckert, Dr.
Yeah,
Joe Dispenza.
yeah,
They know the neuroscience behind music and how it can anchor that energy, but also can work on shifting belief systems as well. So
mm,
you're literally programming, and they're programming, you to feel what I call autobiographical memories. So your
mm,
mind creates a marker, and then when you hear it again, you go back to that event where you were feeling up and inspired.
mm,
Or it could be when you're at that event, you hear it and you say, wow, I used to love this song as a child. And, you kind of remember that energy. But you can also anchor in new memories with
mm,
music as well. And that's why I invite people to go beyond those workshops and to take on the role of the becoming the DJ of their own lives. So like Anthony Robbins, became the DJ for that event. But what happens when the event's over and you have specific songs that you want to utilize in your life? So you have the ability
yeah,
to take on that role of DJ. And for me, the three most important times of your day that you could plug music in are the start of your day when you wake up in
mm,
the morning, and something to set the intention for your day, whatever that may be, whether it's, moving to a more relaxed and present state, or maybe you want, something funky and fun, to start your day.
mm,
So
mm,
I create playlists with like 3 songs each in them. And in the morning, I have a gratitude playlist that is Sly and a Family Stone, Thank You for Letting Me Be Myself, which is very up and funky. Louis Armstrong, What a Wonderful World. And then there's some softer music from a series I created called the Heart Codes that
Oh.
puts me in a place of gratitude. And that's,
And by the way,
starts my day.
can people, yeah, can people get your music? Like, can you buy it somewhere?
I hope so. Yeah. It's not, it's pretty much everywhere you can buy music. iTunes, Amazon.
Okay.
I have a Spotify channel that has a lot of my music. My YouTube channel also has a good deal of sound tools and videos and music as well. So there's a lot of
Right.
things out there.
So
And also
just
my book is also available.
right, right. So just look for your name, Barry Goldstein.
Yeah, type in Barry Goldstein and music and you'll find me.
Well, that's easy enough. Do you have
Yeah. Yeah.
something for kids?
I do. Actually, I just put out a CD called Lunar Lullabies.
Ooh.
And right now it's not on iTunes or Amazon yet. It will be probably by the time we do this interview, but it's on Dr. Joe Dispenza's website.
Okay.
And it's called Lunar Lullabies, and it's sleep music for children of all ages.
Hmm.
So it is very childlike, but it works well for adults. Also, it's just very nurturing.
Well, that sounds amazing. I'm gonna get it for my son. So we talked about really great music and putting great intention behind the music. But what about music that is harmful or like that you hear it and you already feel like, ah, this is not that great, or it brings me into a lower consciousness. What about this type of music? I mean, do you hear it? Do you listen to it? Do you avoid it? Do you recommend avoiding it?
Well, I think most people know when they're resonating with something, but I think that we have to really empower ourselves to become our own sound healers. So when you're listening to a piece of music, the criteria that I use is I ask myself a question: does the music make me feel more expansive? Like I'm on the top of a mountain and my arms are wide open and I'm underneath a night sky and it just feels amazing. Or does the music make me feel contracted where I'm kind of cold and I feel like I need to take cover or protect myself, or I don't feel good after I listen to it. And it's similar to food, as well. So someone could suggest, you try this dish and it was amazing. Wow, this is an amazing dish with broccoli, and broccoli's great for you. It's known to fight cancer. But if you're allergic to broccoli and when you eat it, doesn't, makes you feel nauseous or it creates inflammation, then it's not going to be good for you.
Hmm.
So I think we really have to think of it as music as individualized medicine. Every
Yeah.
song that you listen to, you can make a call whether you feel it makes you feel expansive or it makes you feel contracted. And if it makes you feel contracted and it's creating dissonance in you for every time that you listen to it, then don't
Hmm.
listen to it.
Right.
But there are times when dissonance in small dosage can help. Sometimes it can help you move to a more expansive state. But as I said, like in small doses. So like
Yeah.
sometimes in the middle of a song, you might hear something where it gets really tense and it feels like kind of, oh, that's kind of like rubbing against the music. But then all of a sudden it opens up into something really, really beautiful to contrast with it.
Mm.
So dissonance has a place in that it sometimes can help us move to that, the contrast of darkness and light. And it
Yeah, we
could,
can be always light. Like the world is
right,
not always light. We need, we need light and we need some darkness every once in a while. It's like this is how the world is. Like we need to have junk food every once in a while. We can't be like 100% perfectionists all the time. And sometimes, um, okay, so I studied with Sheila Kelly from S Factor, and she taught me about it's S Factor. Do you know of it?
no, I don't.
It's it it's pole dancing, but you pole dance in a way that helps you connect to your connect to my feminine essence, and release emotions. So we didn't have mirrors in the studios. We were the mirrors to each other. We used to practice with it's very dim lights, just red lights. It's almost dark, almost pitch dark when you enter the studio, and we move really slowly. And then at the end, there is a portion of some pole tricks, but this is not the point. The point is connection to our essence, and our and releasing a lot of traumas and healing. And then you sample outfits and you sample songs, and every week I come up with a different song that I'm going to dance. Like, oh, I'm going to explore with this super heavy metal song, and kind of like get out this like ragey energy, just let it move through my body, and just feel all the energies in my muscles, and expand through that. And there was a week where it was just like it's really like sexy, sultry music, and it's nothing that I would love to listen to on the radio, but my body, oh God, she responded to that music. She responded to the movement. She moved with it, and it was just another way to gain more energy and maybe lighten up my sexuality, sensuality. And another week, I remember one week, I did this. It was a song from Pink. Da, na, 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 na. I don't remember the name of it, but it's a really beautiful song, and I felt like I'm experiencing God at that moment, where my chest went up, and I was just like moving really slow and connecting, and the music really helped me with that. And you can say, oh, this music is good or this music is bad, but what is bad and what is good? It's good and bad. Like when you put something like a knife can be really, really good when you cut a beautiful salad, and a knife can be really, really bad. So it's about how you
Right. Sure.
use the tools, right?
Absolutely.
Fire can burn, and fire can make you warm and cozy, and you can have some marshmallows, on it. But
Yeah.
it's not, yeah. So it's about the way you experience the tools. And God, that like talking with you makes me realize how important all sounds are, and how we can relate to it and heal from it.
Yeah, and like I said, music is more than sound. It's an awareness, and like
Mm-hmm.
you said, when you're aware of what your body needs, you can nourish it just like as you do with food. You can do that with music as well. I think that most of us are familiar with music being used to move emotions, but we don't necessarily use it as a go-to. In other
Mm-hmm.
words, we don't ask ourselves enough in our day, wow, I can really use, and fill in the blank, some people might say chocolate, or I can really use coffee, or I could really use a drink, or whatever it is. You don't really hear people saying, wow, I could really use this song right now, or I
Mm-hmm.
can use this type of music to help me. I think it's an important awareness to bring in, that next time you think of that, wow, I could really use think of music as opposed to something else that you're reaching for that might be more addictive or might be
That's a very
harmful to
good
you.
weight loss suggestion.
There you go. Yeah, because music can be sweet as well. If you're reaching for a sweet, listen to a piece of
Oh, that's
sweet
that's
music.
nice. Yeah.
But I call them
Oh, wow.
acousticeuticals, because music can be used in the same way, as we're using other things to deal with our emotions. And I
Mm.
think that we're, becoming a society that is abusing as well, the way that we're dealing with our emotions,
Okay,
primarily
tell me
through
more.
pharmaceuticals, and there are. I'm not saying
Yeah.
that people shouldn't use pharmaceuticals, because I think, of course, everyone has to find their own path with that and do what works for them. And there's many different ways to do that. But music's a low cost, non-invasive way to deal with moving emotions or putting yourself to sleep at night with music. Where a lot of people are 75 million people have insomnia in this country, and
Wow.
many millions of people are on pharmaceuticals for that. So, you can try music with that, or you can try music, to bridge your day into night. An hour
Mm.
before sleep, put on a piece of peaceful music, and you start to condition your body, just like Pavlov conditioned his dogs by playing a bell before
Right.
he would feed them. You can do that with music, before you go to sleep every night. Just start to put on some very ambient, peaceful music in your space and move to a more sacred place in winding down and, you know, uh, disconnect. Give yourself an hour to disconnect before sleep. And I know
Yeah.
people are saying, well, I'm on Facebook and I'm on Twitter and I'm watching TV. But I'm not saying that, don't shut off completely. Do what works for you. But you can give yourself a little bit of time at the end of your evening
Mm.
to wind down and honor yourself, because you want to clear your energy and release part of the parts of your day that were stressful, and you
Yeah.
want to take time to acknowledge the beauty of and gratitude of things that happened in your day as well. And if you
Mm.
just go to sleep, you're taking yesterday with you and you're waking up with yesterday's energy.
Yeah.
And it's like taking a sonic shower when you listen to music in the evening. You can cleanse yourself of the things that don't serve you in your day and acknowledge the beautiful things that did serve you. And that's where you recharge every day. You wake up and you have energy to create.
Right.
Um, for me, that is essential. I love creating, and creating
Mm.
something from nothing every day, whether it's music
Mm.
or a beautiful moment. You know, I don't want to ever not have enough energy to do that.
Yeah. What are some of the your supernatural experiences? Like when some experiences that you went into like maybe different dimensions or really had a strong connection to source.
Yeah, I've had a lot of different experiences. Um, One of the experiences I had was in a recording studio, and actually, there are graphs in music when you're actually doing it within software for volume and different things. And you can't crisscross those things. They're points. They're just dots, right? In the software, you can't possibly crisscross them and make them look like a maze. And I had a client in New York that we were working together on a very beautiful project. It was geared towards her mom, and her mom who had passed. And her mom used to send her messages.
Wow.
And we were working on this project, and when I went to look back on the volume graph, it was completely crisscrossed. And literally, I couldn't recreate it. I showed her, see, I can't draw that in. I can't possibly do that on my own. And she had just said that she was feeling the presence of her mom,
Wow.
in the room earlier. So I think that you know, loved ones and um, and larger and more expansive access occur. Music's a gateway for that,
Mm.
especially if you're bringing in that awareness that that's what you're connecting to when you're doing that. And I've had many experiences where I just feel that energy.
Really?
And um, I'll give you one more. I was composing that same album that I was talking about called The Heart Codes.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I composed for this specific album, um, I could feel the energy coming in very strong ways. And the intention of the heart codes is really to assist people in moving to those smoother, orderly heart rhythms so
Hmm.
that they could claim their own giftedness and their own divine purpose.
Wow.
So as I was composing this album, my wife at the time was not my wife; she was my girlfriend.
Mhm.
And you've met my wife. So my
Yeah.
wife is
And
got
I
the
love her,
Danise
and she was on
Warden.
this show. Yeah.
Yeah,
Dr.
and she
Denise
was on your
Warden.
show, and she is very much a type A. She's very up energy. A
Yes, she
lot of
is.
yeah. So when I was composing this piece, she would come into the studio and say, "Listen, I need to get work done, and this music is taking me out there. It's no matter what I do, it's just like relaxing me. So, can you work in headphones?" So I said, "Sure." I thought it was really funny because, as a kid, my mom used to knock on my door, but it was to tell me to lower my electric guitar, you know. So here's my wife knocking at my door saying, "Can you lower your beautiful, relaxing music so that I could work?" I thought that was very funny. So I worked in headphones, and about 10 minutes later, she knocked on my door again, and she said, "It doesn't really matter if you're using headphones or not, because it's not just what I'm hearing; it's the energy that you're creating when you're composing it is still taking me out and was putting her into a very altered state."
Well,
So
lucky her.
yeah, but I think it's amazing because when we're in those spaces, and we talk about it a lot of probably people on your show are familiar with the Heart Math Institute. It
Mm.
talks about our heart emitting this amazing, magnetic, energetic field that emanates from the heart when we're in these spaces. And that's really exactly what was happening when I was composing the heart code. So as I was composing, an energetic field was being created that was not only going into the music but was filling the space.
Yeah.
And that album is probably the most popular album that I have. And so obviously people are feeling the energy that was put into it. And I think that we all have the ability to create those supernatural experiences.
Yeah.
Where we're putting our energy and our love into our creations, whatever they are. Whether it's
Mm.
a recipe for food, or a relationship, or your next book. It could still, that field that I'm talking about can be put into any form of creation.
I freaking love it. Um, we don't have much time, and I want to be respectful of your time. So before we say goodbye for now, what are your three top tips to living a stellar life?
Okay, my three top tips. Okay, so tip number one, I'm going to stay on the subject of the heart. So every day, before you start your day, to place your hands on your heart and just connect with your own unique vibration. Because music is not just something that happens to you, it's something that's happening in you as well. And so
Oh,
you start your day feeling your own energy and coming back to your heart, and just breathe into your heart and let out a big sigh whenever you're breathing out. And just do that for a few minutes to start your morning. Just connecting with your heart, listening to your breath. And then my next tip is going to be to give yourself the gift of music once during your day, whether it is in the afternoon or in the evening. If it's in the afternoon, I like to take what I call 5-minute vacations, where I'm listening to a piece of music from another part of the world and just allowing myself to be transported to that environment, and feel the air and smell the smells, and kind of like taking a midday vacation out of wherever you are. And at night, as I said, listen to a piece of music an hour before bedtime and allow yourself to wind down. And my third thing is to create every day in your life. So, and I'm not just saying this for people who are songwriters or artists, but we have the ability to create moments in our lives and other people's lives. You're in a bank and you're talking to the teller, and you tell her that, wow, I love that color shirt. It really looks great with your eyes. You've just created a moment that might have just shifted her day. Or, on the phone with someone, if you're really present and you're really listening and you let them know that you're there for them. So creation is not just about, being artistic. It's about transforming energy. So upgrading the energy from a situation that's going on, and taking it up to another emotion. And if we all did that every day, just be creating amazing moments in each other's lives, and it
Hmm.
would just ripple out exponentially.
Hmm. There are a lot of beautiful moments that are being created in the background. We have a guest, and I don't think they are aware that we're talking. So you might have heard some fun, cute, cute things in the background.
Right. It's
Yeah,
probably your family members,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
They're
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
awesome.
It's my a friend of ours came to visit, and he's playing with David. So
That's a beautiful sound, right?
yeah, it's beautiful sound. I know those sounds, those little sounds, like when I hear my son speaks, I'm like, oh my God, he's got his little like toddler voice, like, it's so cute. Can I just like listen to this forever? It's so beautiful.
Yeah, and being present, there's so much music that happens outside of just notes,
Yes, thank
things like
you.
that are just
Yeah,
musical.
yeah, we rescued the duckling, so I like listening to the duckling. That's a whole new story. We rescued a duckling, and the geese were chasing its mom, and it's just a few days old. So I hear the ducklings sounds. I have my son's sounds, the voice, my husband's voice. Like all those sounds are so profound. Like the sounds of your loved ones. If we just tune into that, it's a really beautiful symphony.
Absolutely. Yeah, and to bring that presence in, to every day, I think that your listeners would, if they're not doing it already, they would find enormous benefit
Mm-hmm.
in just looking at music in a slightly different way. I
Yes.
think we all tend to take music slightly for granted. You
Right.
know,
Yes, we do.
so schedule
Mm.
your day tomorrow. Look at your schedule and schedule in a few pieces of music in your day. So as
Yeah.
you look at your schedule in the morning, I put my music schedule in a different color block,
Oh,
right?
wow. Wow.
And so, like, if you have a meeting in the morning, okay, well, what piece of music do I want to listen to before this? And if your afternoon podcast that you're doing with someone, okay, well, what piece of music do I want to listen to before I start that?
Mm-hmm.
And then in the evening, and just kind of start scheduling it in and put it in, and you'll find some amazing gateways and expansions,
Right.
that
Oh,
are opening
Barry.
up.
Yes, Barry, thank you so, so much. Can you please remind everybody where they can get your book, the name of your book, where they can get it, where they can get your extraordinary music, and connect with you if anybody wants to have you help him compose a piece?
Yeah, sure. My website is barrygoldsteinmusic.com, and my book is called The Secret Language of the Heart, and it's available on Amazon. And all my music is available on iTunes and Amazon, and you can reach out to me also on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, any of those as well. And I also have been facilitating workshops with the Shift Network and doing a lot more teaching and sessions as well. So feel free to go to my website and to explore.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I am so happy I know you, and this was a wonderful conversation. Thank you for giving me the gift of your music today and your
My
presence
pleasure.
and sharing all your wisdom with us.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me, and I hope to
Yes,
do
we
it again
will.
with you.
I hope so. Yes. And
Awesome. Have a great and
thank you.
beautiful
You
day.
too. And thank you, listeners. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. This was just a beautiful experience for me. Remember to connect with your heart every day as you start your day. Give yourself the gift of music at least once a day. Create beautiful moments every day and have a stellar life. This is Orion. Till next time.